Hello guys, welcome to my channel, and in this video we are going to talk about a new subject called as engineering materials, and in that we are going to see material science, and in that we are going to see important MCQ for RTO examination. So let's get started. Now the first question here it is: the strain energy stored in the body due to external loading. Guys, please read the question carefully. Due to external loading within the elastic limit is known as. So here the correct answer is resilience. So here we are going to see how this is resilience. So as per the definition, here you can see the strain energy stored in the specimen when strained within the elastic limit is known as resilience. So here you can see that this point is basically the elastic limit, and below this point if the body is strained, then it is known as resilience. And if the body is strained maximum to this elastic point, then it is known as proof resilience, right? At this point if you consider, then it is known as proof resilience, that is the maximum elastic limit, right? Maximum elastic limit. Now there is another term known as modulus of resilience. What is this? It is basically this proof resilience per unit volume or strained energy per unit volume, right? So this is known as proof resilience per unit volume. Now here you can see guys, strain energy per unit volume is known as modulus, right? Modulus, right? So the formula for strain energy per unit volume is sigma square by twice E, right? Where sigma is stress and E is the modulus of elasticity. So this is the formula for modulus of resilience. Now the next question guys, proof resilience in a member is stored strain energy. So as we have seen already, the proof resilience is maximum strain energy stored within the elastic limit. So the correct answer is here B. Proof resilience in a member is stored strain energy in whole volume. Correct answer is B. Now the next question guys, resilience of a material is considered when it is subjected to. Now here the correct answer is shock loading. So basically resilience means maximum resistance that a body can offer for a particular type of a loading. So it is known as shock loading, and the correct answer here is D. As you can see, resilience is defined as the energy absorption capacity of a component, right, during its functionality. Modulus of resilience and modulus of toughness are the important properties for material of component when it is subjected to impact or shock loading. So resilience comes only when there is a impact loading, right? Impact or shock loading, and that's why we call it as a resilience. We don't call it resilience for normal loading. Resilience, also this term is used in biology, and this resilience is basically for impact or shock. What is the behavior of the material in that environment, right? Now the next question, 6.4, the ability of tool material to resist shock or impact forces is known as. So guys, the correct answer here is toughness, right? So as you can see here in the stress strain diagram, this total area is known as toughness. So this total area is toughness, and the ability of tool material to resist shock or impact forces is known as toughness. So as you can see here guys, for brittle material this kind of area is considered as a area for toughness, and for ductile material it is this kind of area. It depends upon the stress strain curve for particular respective material. Now next question guys, steel whose elements are used for the purpose of modifying the mechanical properties of plain carbon steel is called as. Obviously when you modify steel or you mix certain amount of like other materials like nickel, silicon, right, chromium, etc. into the steel, it becomes alloy steel, right? So the correct answer here is A, alloy steel. The correct answer is alloy steel. Guys, now the next question. Here you can see alloy steel is that is alloyed with a variety of elements in total amount between 10% to 50% by weight to improve its mechanical properties. So alloy steel is basically made to improve its mechanical properties of the plain carbon steel or normal steel. Alloy steel are broken down into two groups, low alloy steel and high alloy steel. Basically it depends upon how much we content of other elements such as nickel, silicon, chromium we mix in it. So next question. So this is the steel, as you can see the alloy steel here. Now next question, guys. Alloy steel containing 36% nickel is called as. So the correct answer is Invar, right? Here you can see Invar composition. Here nickel is 36% and iron is 64%, right? So for 36% nickel we call it as a Invar. This is basically factual based question. You have to remember it. There is no other way around, right? It is asked in SSC JH 2017 examination. Very important question, guys. So here you can see Invar is used where high dimensional stability is required, such as precision instrument, clocks, seismic creep gauges, television, shadow mask frames, valves in engine, large aerostructure molds. One of its first application was in watch balance wheel, pendulum rods for precision regulator clocks. So this is the application for Invar, and it is a part of a alloy steel, and it depends upon how much percent nickel we use. For 36% it is known as Invar. Now the next question, guys. Carbon steel is basically an alloy of iron, right, and carbon with varying quantities of sulfur and phosphorus, right? So the correct answer here is B. Now the next question, 6.8, the percentage of carbon in steel. So this is also a very important question. So the percentage of carbon in steel is 0.1 to 1.5%, right? Here you can see for dead mild steel the carbon is up to 1.15%. For low carbon steel it is up to 0.1 to 1.3 the carbon range. For medium carbon steel the carbon range is 0.3 to 0.6. For high carbon steel the carbon range is 0.6 to 1.5. So if we total this out, it is 0.1 to 1.5% carbon is present in the steel. So this is the maximum carbon that can be present in the steel. So the correct answer is 0.1 to 1.5%. This is also a very important question asked in SSC JEE 2017. So remember it, guys. This is the answer. Now 6.9, ninth question. Hardness of the steel depends on. So here the correct answer is hardness of the steel. Obviously, as we have seen it, that we add carbon to the steel, right? Carbon to the steel to improve the hardness. So ultimately the answer will be B. The amount of the carbon it contains, that is steel, right? Here you can see the amount of cementite it contains. So cementite is basically used for improving the hardness, right? But basically as we increase the percentage of carbon, as you can see, as you have seen in the iron carbide diagram, the hardness gets increased, right? So the correct answer here will be B, not A, right? You have to read all the options. Now the next question. Here you can see that hardness is defined as the ability of material to resist abrasion, indentation, wear and catch. It increases with increase in the carbon content, right? So that's why the correct answer is B. Here you can see that this is the hardness test known as Vickers hardness test, in which the material is tested for its hardness, right, by doing this indentation to this workpiece, right. So percentage, so the increase in the carbon content increases the hardness of the steel. Question number 10, blank is added to raise the yield point of a low carbon steel. Here the correct answer is phosphorus, right. So obviously it will not be carbon. Carbon is added to improve the hardness. Carbon is added to improve the hardness of the steel. Sulfur is not the answer. Silicon is not the answer. But phosphorus. Phosphorus is to raise the yield point. Here you can see silicon. Silicon is added to increase strength and hardness resistivity, right. Carbon is added to increase the hardness. We know that carbon is added to increase the hardness. Sulfur is added to improve machinability. Sulfur for machinability. And phosphorus is added to increase the yield point of the low carbon steel. So remember guys, this is very important. Phosphorus is added to increase the yield point of the steel. Now question number 11, an alloy steel contains, so this is also a very factual question. An alloy steel contains more than 0.5% manganese and 0.5% silicon, right. Question number 12, alloy steel as compared to carbon steel is more. Now alloy steel as compared to carbon steel, basically carbon steel is hard, right. Carbon steel is, we know that it is harder, stronger, and it is tough also. So the correct answer is D, none of the above. Alloy steel is none of the above. It is not as strong as carbon steel. It is not strong as carbon steel. It is not as fatigue resistant as carbon steel. Now the next question, 13. Steel which destroys by burning is called as, right. So you can guess this answer. That will be killed steel. The correct answer is killed steel. So basically killed steel is a steel that is fully deoxidized. Remember this is fully deoxidized. They are characterized by a high degree of chemical homogeneity and freedom from gas porosity. So the correct answer is D, killed steel. Now question number 14, in steel, main alloy causing corrosion resistance is. So here the correct answer is chromium. As we have seen earlier, here you have seen that, yeah, the chromium basically is used as a corrosion resistance material for the steel in its alloy form. So for here you can see that manganese increases the toughness and reduces brittleness. Vanadium increases hardness and yield strength. Cobalt improves heat resistance, right. So the corrosion resistance is improved by chromium. Now the next question, the atomic packing factor is the highest in which of the following cubic lattice system. So here you have to understand what is cubic lattice system. So it is, consider this is simple cubic system. Here you can see that this is a cube, right. This is a cube, and you can see here the 3D structure of this cube. Here how it looks like. So this is simple cubic structure, and this is body center cubic structure. In body center cubic structure, this is a 3D diagram of this. Basically in body center cubic structure, this cube, in this cube, at the center of the cube, that there is one atom. That's why it is known as body centered cubic. And in the faced center cubic, in this cube, consider this cube, at this face, basically at every face there will be an atom. At every face there will be one atom. at this face also one atom, right? So that's why it is considered as face center cubic structure, right? Similarly, hexagonal cubic structure. Now here you can see that here the correct answer, the atomic packing factor is highest in which of the following cubic lattices. So right, here you can see that the correct answer should be face centered. As you can see here, it contains more number of atom at the center, so it occupies more number of atoms, right? Face center cubic structure. That's why atomic packing factor for face center cubic structure is highest in cubic lattice system. Also you can see that atomic factors formula, volume of an atom upon volume of an unit cell. So for this unit cell, large number of atoms can be occupied in face center cubic structure. That's why the correct answer is face center cubic structure. Now this is also an important question, guys, asked in 2017 SSCG. Now the 16th question, the material commonly used for aircraft gas turbine, right, is, the correct answer is titanium. You can remember this as T for turbine and T for titanium, right? TT. So here you can see that this is the turbine, this is the turbine. Here you can see this is the turbine which is used in aircraft engines, and this is made of titanium. Why? Because titanium has lot of properties such as high strength, high hardness, high heat conduction rate. That's why titanium is used in aircraft gas turbine engines, gas turbines. Also they are used in aircraft outer body, right? Now the next question, for steel, the ultimate strength in shear as compared to ultimate strength in tension. The correct answer here is 2/3. Here you can see ultimate shear strength is approximately equal to 0.6 of tensile strength. So the ultimate shear strength to that of ultimate tensile strength for steel we are talking about here is equals to 0.6, that is approximately equal to 2/3, right? And if we reverse this situation, ultimate strength in shear for steel in tension guys, to that of ultimate strength in shear, it is equal to 1.5, that is 3/2. So here you can see that from the viewpoint of threaded steel bar, the ratio of ultimate strength of steel in tension in comparison to shear under 100% shear force acting and without any tensile force is 1.5. So guys, here the correct answer is 2/3. Now the next question, question number 18. The property of material by virtue of which a body returns to its original shape after removal of load is called as. Obviously it is coming back to its original shape, it is known as elasticity, right? It is known as elasticity. Question number 19, essential gradient of any hardened steel is. Here for hardened steel, its essential gradient is cementite, right? Question number 19, answer is the answer is C, martensite. So basically martensite is the hardest and most brittle phase of iron, and the crystal structure of martensite is body centered tetragonal structure. It is formed when the austenite is rapidly cooled to a room temperature. So rapid cooling is called as quenching operation of austenite will lead to production of martensite, and it is considered as the hardest So that's why the correct answer here is martensite. Essential gradient of any hardened steel is martensite. Yeah. Now question number 20. Steel containing 11 to 14% of chromium and 35.35% of carbon is called as. So it is also a factual based question, question number 20. The correct answer is martensitic steel. Here you can see for martensitic stainless steel, composition of chromium is basically between 11 to 18%, and here it is asked as 11 to 14%, right? And for carbon it is 0.8 to 1.2%. So 35%, 0.35% carbon is present in martensitic steel, right? Similarly for ferritic and austenitic steel. Here the correct answer is martensitic steel, stainless steel. Now question number 21. Steel containing 18% chromium and 8% nickel is called as. So the correct answer is austenitic steel, stainless steel. As we have seen earlier, the steel containing austenitic steel contains chromium as 15 to 26% and carbon between 0.02 to 1.5%. So the correct answer here will be austenitic steel, right? 18% chromium and 8% nickel, right? So the correct answer is austenitic steel. Here you can see that chromium 15 to 26%, nickel 2.5 to 10.8%, and carbon that is 0.02 to 1.5%. Now the next question. The ultimate strength of steel in tension in comparison to shear is the ratio of. So the correct answer, we have already seen this question. The answer is C, that is 3:2. Yeah, here you can see that the ultimate strength of steel in tension to that in shear is equals to 1.5. So we can write this ultimate strength of steel in tension to that of ultimate strength of steel in shear is equals to 1.5, that is approximately equal to 3/2. So the correct answer will be C. Very important question, guys, very important. Now the next question. Steel containing perlite and ferrite is. So the correct answer here is soft. Here you can see that this is perlite, right? This region is perlite. So perlite is basically it contains approximately 0.008% of carbon. So as it is having a less percentage of carbon, so it won't be hard. So you can eliminate this option. It won't be hard, it won't be tough, right? It can be ductile, but primarily it will be soft. So steel containing perlite and ferrite is soft. So here you can see perlite is basically a microstructure which consists of both alpha ferrite and cementite. Hence overall ferrite pure steel with very less percentage of carbon, that is 0.008% carbon at room temperature, and the rest is iron. Cementite, right, it is a relatively harder phase which contains 6.67% carbon at room temperature. So cementite, as you can see, the amount of carbon percentage get increased, and at this point 6.7% carbon is present. So as we increase the percentage of carbon, the material gets harder. That's why cementite is a harder phase, right? Question number 24. Steel with carbon below 0.8% is called as, right? So you can see here in the diagram below 0.8%. So this is eutectic point. Eutectoid point. So before this eutectoid point, we call it as hypoeutectoid, and after this eutectoid point we call it as hypereutectoid point, right? And the question is asking us that below 0.8%. Below 0.8% is hypoeutectoid. As you can see here, below 0.8% is hypoeutectoid. Above 0.8% to 2% it is hypereutectoid stele, and at 0.8% it is eutectoid stele. So the correct answer would be B, right? The correct answer is B. Now the next question. Here you can see that this is 0.8% carbon, right? This is 0.8% carbon, and this is hypereutectoid region. This is hypoeutectoid region. This is eutectoid point, and the stele basically comes in the region of 0 to 2% region. 0 to 2% region is basically stele region, and after 2 to 6.67% it is cast iron, right? Please remember this. Next question, question number 25, and this will be the last question of this series. So I'm going to upload the next question in part 2, right? So question number 25, hardness of the steel depends upon, as we have seen earlier, hardness depends upon, the correct answer would be, here you can see that the correct answer is cementite, right? We have seen it earlier. As we increase the amount of carbon, we get this cementite, and cementite is hard. Hardness increases as the amount of carbon percent increases. That's why we get cementite. So thank you guys for listening in, and please subscribe to my channel.